What does green change for the people of Gorton and Denton really actually mean?
Well, this is exactly why we need to get Hannah Spencer elected. I'm from an area very close to Gorton and Denton. I grew up in Heaton Chapel, which is, just literally a few minutes away. And ultimately what we need to make sure is that when we get Hannah elected, she's there to represent the people, and that's exactly what you get with Hannah. It can't just be about abstract concepts of hope, it has to be about tangible policies. So I talk, for instance, a lot about lowering people's bills. What does that mean? It means things like bringing water companies back into public ownership, ending shareholder profits, making sure we're offering things like universal free childcare, making sure that we have a local plumber elected to Parliament who's not taken donations from oil and gas companies, arms trade companies, private healthcare companies or gambling companies. And that's exactly why we get the sort of politics that we often get, because people have been paid for by those companies to represent them and not the people. And so what Gorton and Denton have the opportunity to do here is to elect someone who's from the community, who will go to Parliament, who is representing them and not vested interests. And I believe, although it's one seat, that's exactly how we change politics, because it demonstrates a model of what politics can and should be.
And one of the main sources, or the main source of crime in this area, is violence against women. So I was wondering if you'd like to say something to potentially people who are victims of this crime or suffer or associated with the violence against women in this area.
Yeah, violence against women and girls is an incredibly serious issue. And we know that this doesn't appear in a vacuum. We know that decades and decades of austerity and underinvestment has created community tensions. And we know far too often that women and girls are at the rough end of the effects of austerity and poverty. Now, we know it isn't just the effects of austerity and poverty. There are plenty of people who are very wealthy who are still mistreating the women or the girls in their life. We also know, very sadly, that someone who is abused, far too often it's likely to come from someone in the family or indeed their own partner. And these issues need to be taken really seriously. And actually, Hannah Spencer is someone that I've seen speak many, many times very powerfully on this issue. And although I think as a man it's important to always speak and ally on these issues, I don't think there's anything more powerful than actually a woman speaking up for women and being able to talk about these issues. And it is really important that we have these conversations, and we have them in the wider context of the police force as well, because we know far too many communities feel over-policed and under-protected. And we also know that sometimes women have felt particularly unsafe from the police officers themselves. And so this is an entire conversation we need to have about, of course, we need police officers to protect communities and to make sure that we're investing in our communities, and ideally those police officers are from the communities. We also need to make sure that those same people are held accountable and there's transparency about how all of those things are done. Those are complex conversations and need to be given the sensitivity and care they deserve.
We're with Sarah, who's about to go door knocking. Can you tell us why you're here today and what it means to you to be out door knocking?
So I'm here today because it's such a two-party race with Reform and Green, and Green are the only chance we've got to get Reform out. So I've been a member of the Green Party for about 6 months, and I just agree with all of their policies. I'm very eco-friendly as well, and I want the other policies as well that the Green Party have got, like taxing wealth, not work, and taxing the millionaires, multi-millionaires and billionaires, and obviously investing in our national services just is also important. And now I'm an adult, and politics actually affects my life and what I earn and my jobs and stuff. I just think it's so important to come out and try and win this Green seat and not let Reform get it.
For anyone who's thinking about maybe getting involved in canvassing or doing something for the Greens, what would you say that it's given to you as someone who's been involved in various projects?
I think it's just nice to feel like you're doing something. I am just an individual. We are all just like individuals doing a little bit. But it's nice to kind of just be with other people doing this thing and sort of feeling like this is something that anybody can do. It is a little bit scary when you start, but it's fine. You don't really get, the abuse you get is actually minimal. And I think the sort of worry is that everybody is going to yell at you, people are going to be violent. I don't know, I've never experienced that in several years of doing different election campaigns, and it's just nice to talk to people. It kind of gives you a little bit more, restores faith a little bit sometimes in humanity.
If you look around you, at the action day today, it's bringing together people who wouldn't normally, share the same space. So someone like me, a brown Muslim Asian dad, Mancunian. I'm mixing with I've got people from Kent here, who are in some small village, and they don't have that much, say, diversity in their village. And it's amazing sharing stories, etc. And what we want to do is make Gorton and Denton the same, start bringing people together. People from Longsight need to sort of start sharing the worries and the concerns that their neighbours in Denton are sharing, And when we start breaking those barriers, we realise, what? We're all worried about the same thing, whether it's the NHS, whether it's, dare I say, even immigration, the root causes. That's where we differ from the far right, is what's the cause and what's the solution.
I think we feel like we've been let down by Labour massively, very left-wing on this side. Very much don't want reform in here, if I'm honest. That's one of them. It's not the main reason, but definitely very left-wing, and the Green Party represents me now.
And why are you really anti-reform?
It just seemed like a party of racists, if I'm honest. As someone who's very white passing but not white in our history line, I'm not interested in voting for anyone that has anything to say against anyone that isn't white.
And do you think that did you vote for Labour last time then? Yeah, and why now the Greens then?
Because Labour aren't representative of the left wing anymore. I'd say they're a very centrist party. In the Facebook groups around here in Denton, I would say it's more centre-right. There's a bit of talk about reform, but also there's a lot of left-wing people in Denton still, and we were massively let down by Andrew Gwynn and what he stood for and what he did. So the Green Party is a left-wing party that we can vote for now.
Reform have been accused of breaking electoral law in that they're posting letters to residents in Gorton and Denton claiming to be from a concerned elderly pensioner. However, these letters are funded and sent by Reform, or at least there's evidence for that has been reported on by The Mill, The Guardian, Turn Left, various other outlets. We think that if Reform are found guilty of this and have broken electoral law, that they should be banned from running in the by-election. This isn't because we think that we should be banning loads of political parties, but if you continue to allow parties like Reform to break electoral law, they will continue to do so. And if you just fine them, a fine is nothing for a party that's funded by millionaires and billionaires with crypto money backing them. This isn't the first time that Reform have been accused of cheating and breaking electoral laws to convince voters to vote for them. In Caerphilly, Reform sent out Dear Neighbour letters, as they've done in Gorton and Denton, where they claim to be a concerned neighbour with serious issues and encourage voters in the area to vote for Reform without telling the voter that this was funded and distributed by Reform. Now, they're doing the same thing in Gorton and Denton, and they'll continue to do the same thing or break laws in similar ways across the country if the government and local governments do not take a stance and say, we will not allow the breaking of electoral law. We need to protect the health of democracy. I think you can agree on that no matter who you support or your political ideology. We want things to be fair, and we don't want money to run politics.